California.
Headed for Abbotsville, ain't you?
That's right.
Well, you ain't gonna make it on this road.
Why not?
Morning, ladies. The Canyon Creek Bridge is out.
Out.
Collapsed sometime during the night.
Well, I ain't surprised. Well, with them heavy ore wagons using it the way they do, guess we'll just have to turn around.
Isn't there another road into Abbotsville?
You get there through Tyler's Cut, but that's 35 miles out of the way.
What about it, driver?
Sorry, miss. I got to connect with the eastbound mail train out of Parkersburg. You got to go back to Lake Junction, and then through the valley.
Well, I guess there's only one thing for us to do. Go back to Lake Junction and rent a buggy.
Well, that's a mighty hard road through Tyler's Cut, ma'am. I wouldn't try it if I was you.
I don't see how it could be any rougher than this road. But thanks for the warning.
Get up! Get up! You! Ah, heat up!
Didn't work.
What happened?
Ladies are gonna hire a livery at Lake Junction and go by way of Tyler's Cut. They'll be late getting to Abbotsville, but they'll get there.
Dad?
Been to the bank.
I know.
Just had to have another talk with Seth Duncan. He spent an hour telling me about his new grandchildren. And another half hour raving about a shipment of caviar he just got from Russia. When I got talking about the loan, he suddenly remembered an appointment he had with his tailor.
Dad, why do you keep wasting your time? Now, you know there isn't a bank in the country that's going to lend money on silver these days. And I don't want you begging Seth Duncan for help. We've kept the mine running so far, haven't we?
Yes, but...
Now, no buts about it. That mine's operating. It's going to keep on operating. I promise you that.
Well, I just...
Now, Dad, why don't you go back to work? I'll talk to you later.
All right, sir. All right.
Barkley. Mrs. Barkley.
Eric!
How nice to see you.
Oh, Eric, how are you?
Audra, my goodness, look
It's been a long time.
3 years.
Yes, you were just about to join some law firm in San Francisco.
That's right. And Dad talked me into coming back here and opening up an office of my own. Well, may I invite you to join me for lunch?
Oh, no, thank you. I'm sure Jim is waiting for us in the hotel.
He's not there, Mrs. Barkley.
Are you sure?
Positive.
Well, we're hours late.
Well, we better get on to the ranch then.
Oh, Mrs. Barkley, I don't think that would be advisable.
Oh?
It's your brother-in-law. He's ill.
Ill?
It's his mind.
His mind?
That happened just a couple of months ago. Jim and I had been to Arizona to look over some of his holdings. One day, well, about a week after we came back, he,
Well, what, Eric, what?
He tried to kill his foreman.
Mike Newcomb?
Mike was working in the barn. Jim came storming in, babbling something about Mike trying to ruin him by poisoning his cattle. He went after Mike with a bailing hook. He had him down, he would have killed him if some of the hands hadn't been close by. Since then, we've had to keep Jim confined to his room.
You mean he's kept locked up?
I'm sorry, but we had no other choice. Mrs. Barkley, I know what a shock this must be to you. But I'm afraid your brother-in-law is hopelessly insane.
I don't understand. I don't understand why we weren't told about this.
Well, I suppose I should have. I kept putting it off, thinking that maybe Jim would recover. Or at least show some signs of improvement. Then when I got your letter to him, well, I get all of his mail now, saying that you were stopping here in Abbotsville on your way to a wedding in San Francisco. I decided to wait until you arrived so I could, well, break the news to you in person.
Would you drive us out to the ranch?
Certainly. If you're sure that's what you want to do. I took the liberty of reserving rooms for you here at the hotel. I thought you might prefer staying here under the circumstances.
No. I want to see Jim under any circumstances.
All right. I'll get my rig.
Barkley, it's so good to see you. And Roger, my, you look prettier every day. Oh, I'm so glad you decided to stay here instead of the hotel. Like Mr. Eric set your mind. Come in.
How have you been, Grant?
Oh, Mike and I have just been fine. Considering.
Where is Jim?
He's up there.
I want to see him.
Well, Dr. Morley's with him now.
Dr. Morley?
Yes.
Oh, he's new in town. He's a young man, knows a lot about modern medicine.
What happened to Dr. Pierce?
Oh, Doc Pierce? Oh, he's still around. He'll go on forever, I suppose. But, Doc Pierce is a little old-fashioned. I felt Jim should see somebody who knows more about this sort of thing.
Come on into the living room. We seldom use this room since Mr. Jim took sick.
I've always loved this house.
Oh, it's been home to Mike and me for a lot of years now. I don't really know what we'll do when it comes time to leave.
Now, Mrs. Newcomb, let's not think about that. Mr. Barkley needs you and Mike now more than he ever has. The Newcombs have been very loyal through all this.
Well, I just wish I could do more. It's hard just to stand by and see a fine man like Mr. Jim. But I better see about supper. You'll stay and have it with us, Mr. Eric?
Well, it's very kind of you, Mrs. Newcomb. Thank you. Oh, if I'm not intruding.
Not at all.
Well, then, I'll just get things started.
So I've given him an injection. He'll quiet down now.
Dr. Morley, this is Mrs. Victoria Barkley and her daughter, Audra.
How do you do?
I'd like to see him.
I can't permit that, Mrs. Barkley. For your own safety, he's much too upset.
When can we?
Well, I'm not sure.
But, Doctor, they have to catch the morning stage to San Francisco. Wouldn't it be possible for them to...
Well, you know as well as I do how unpredictable Mr. Barkley's moods are, Eric. I'm afraid we'll just have to wait and see how he is in the morning. Well, now, I must be getting along.
I'll walk out with you, Doctor.
Yes, I'll be back in the morning before you leave.
Would you like to freshen up before supper?
Yes, thank you.
I'll have your bags brought right up. Oh, it's like that. He paces and paces and paces for hours on end, up and down, back and forth like a... give anybody some more coffee?
No, thank you.
Not for me.
No, me, thank you. I'll just finish what I have and run, if you forgive me. I promised Dad I'd stop by the office tonight.
How is your father, Eric?
But these are pretty rough times for him, Mrs. Barkley.
Yes, I guess his silver mine is the only one in the state that hasn't shut down.
They'll never shut him down. You know Dad and how he feels about Abbotsville. This is his town. He started it. He built it. He's poured his whole life into it. Let me tell you something you might not know. My father lost a fortune in the crash of '66, and again in '71. But the mine and the stamp mill didn't shut down for one day. He kept the men working, and he kept Abbotsville alive.
I know the story. Your father is a fine man.
Yes, he is, Mrs. Barkley. They don't come any finer. Well, I better be getting along.
And I'll see if Grace can use some help. Audra, take Eric to the door. Eric, very nice seeing you.
Well, I wish it could have been under happier circumstances.
So do I.
I'm sorry you have to leave tomorrow.
I am too.
You were very close to your uncle, weren't you? Used to talk a lot about you. Well, about your brothers, too, but mostly about you. One didn't know better, one would have thought that you were Jim's daughter.
In a way, I was after my father died. He and Uncle Jim were so much alike. This was a second home to me. It was such a warm, busy, gay place.
Yes, there was always something happening. A party, a barbecue, a picnic.
Except after Aunt Ellen died. I spent that summer here. We rode and took long walks and sat out on the porch in the evening. Sometimes we talk, other times we just sit. And I realized I was the one person in the world he wanted to be with. I was only 15, but it was the first time anyone really needed me.
Look, Audra, I know how much you want to see your uncle. But if you want my opinion, you won't do it. You won't know him the way he's changed. And he probably won't know you. Wouldn't you rather remember the man you did know? Think about it. Goodbye, Audra.
Goodbye.
Where have you been?
Mrs. Newcomb invited me to stay to supper. And I'll bet you haven't had a thing to eat. All right, let's go get you something.
I don't want anything.
Hey, come on, partner. Quit worrying.
How did Mrs. Barkley take the news?
First some supper, then we'll talk.
We'll talk now.
Well, she took it about as I expected. She wants to see Jim, naturally. But she won't. There just won't be enough time before she and Audra have to catch the morning stage. Morley will see to it.
Are you sure? Suppose he can't.
Oh, Dad.
I know Victoria Barkley, Eric.
So do I.
She's no fool.
Far from it.
If she ever suspects...
She won't.
I can't let you do this for me, Eric. This is my problem.
Dad. Dad, one of the first things I ever remember you telling me when I was a boy is that I would never have a problem that wasn't our problem. Yours and mine. And that's the way it's always been. Eric, and this time it's my turn, Dad.
I want to tell the truth.
But you'd be ruined. Dad, don't you understand? Everything you've worked for your whole life would end up nothing. I'm not going to let that happen to you, Dad. I'll never let that happen to you. Now let's go home, huh?
Oh, Miss Barkley, I didn't mean to frighten you. I just got back from town, saw the barn doors open, thought it might be a prowler.
Well, it was so warm I couldn't sleep. I came out for a breath of fresh air.
Pretty warm night, all right. I'm sure glad you and Miss Audra came. Might help Mr. Jim, you and your family being his only living relatives.
Eric and the doctor don't seem to think so. They believe he's beyond help.
It could be. Pretty bad with him. I guess maybe Mr. Eric or Grace told you how he came at me with the bail hook.
That must have been a terrible experience for you.
I don't blame him. Wasn't the man I'd known all these years. Just some poor, kill-crazy animal that didn't know what it was doing.
Mike, what happened to the horses?
Mr. Jim sold them.
His Palominos? When?
Right after he took sick.
Why? He loved those horses. Why would he get rid of them?
Well, I guess you could ask that question about a lot of things he did. All I know is that one day Mr. Eric came to me and told me to sell them for the best price I could get.
Eric told you.
Yes, ma'am. Oh, he's been sort of running things for Mr. Jim for, well, it's over a year now. He's got full power of attorney and everything. But Mr. Jim did approve of the sale of the horses.
Mm-hmm. Mike, this ranch isn't being worked at all, is it? I mean, the bunkhouse empty, the corral overgrown. Why?
Well, mostly because the men we had left after what Mr. Jim did to me.
And you couldn't hire others.
Greenhorns and waddies, maybe, but none worth their salt. You've got a spread of your own, Miss Barkley. You know how it is. Place gets a bad name for something, and the good men just...
Good night, Mike.
Good night, Miss Barkley.
We weren't expecting to see you this morning.
Good morning. I thought I'd come out and drive you into town to catch a stage.
Well, that was very thoughtful of you, but you needn't have bothered. Mike would have taken us.
Well, as a matter of fact, I had to come out anyway. I'm afraid I've got some rather disappointing news for you.
Oh?
Dr. Morley was called over to Wall River on an emergency.
Then he won't be here this morning.
I'm afraid not. At least not before you have to leave. He asked me to apologize for him.
Is that all he said?
No. He told me to tell you that he couldn't permit you to see Jim unless he was present. Look, I'm not sure I agree with him. But if he feels that way, well, I'm afraid that's the way it's going to have to be.
Did he say when he would be here?
No.
This afternoon, perhaps?
Well, he didn't say. I just don't know.
Well, there's nothing for us to do but wait and see.
But your stage leave...
We won't be taking it.
Now, what about the wedding? Won't you miss it?
Well, there's a 7 o'clock train tonight out of Parkersburg, and that will get us into San Francisco in plenty of time. As a matter of fact, this whole thing may work out much better. It will give me a chance to go into town and see some friends I haven't seen for a long time. Would you like to come with me, Audra?
No, thank you. I'll stay here.
Well, then I guess I better be getting back to town. Look, I can come back and drive you to Parkersburg if you like.
Oh, no. Mike will take us.
Well, then I'll say goodbye again.
Eric, before you go, I'd like to ask you a question. Why did you sell Jim's Palominos?
Why? Because Jim told me to.
That was after he became ill.
Yes.
Well, surely you're not letting him run his own affairs in his condition, are you?
Oh, of course not. But in a case like this, what difference did it make? You see, the horses didn't mean anything to Jim anymore. 5 minutes after he told me to sell them, he couldn't remember that he had ever owned them.
But you went ahead and sold them anyway, hmm?
Mrs. Barkley, those Palominos were expensive to keep. And with the ranch not working, with everything going out and nothing coming in, I didn't feel that I could afford to be sentimental about a bunch of horses.
Well, I suppose you're right. But I wish I had known about the situation here. I would have bought those horses. I know how much they meant to Jim. And we Barkleys, well, we put great store in sentiment.
I'll remember that the next time. Bye, Mrs. Barkley.
Victoria, how
Nice
are
to see you.
Sit down. You look fine, just fine.
Thank you.
How's the family? Everybody sitting up and taking nourishment?
Uh-huh.
Good. What can I do for you? You don't need a doctor. I can tell that just looking at you.
I came here to talk to you about Jim.
How is he?
That's what I want to know.
I don't know. I'm not his doctor anymore, you know. There's a new fellow in town, Dr. Morley.
What can you tell me about him?
Well, I don't know. Nothing much. Came to Abbotsville about 2 months ago. Just about the time that Jim began to fail.
Where did he come from?
Some silver camp, I understand. The way these silver camps have been shutting down lately, this state is going to have almost as many unemployed doctors as it has miners. You know, Dr. Morley first set up practice here. I thought he was going to run me right out of business. Him being young, knowing all the new ways of doing things, somehow it hasn't worked out that way.
What do you mean?
Well, he kind of discourages folks from coming to see him. Talk has it that he has a private income, and he doesn't care whether he has any patients or not.
Except Jim, apparently.
Have you seen Jim? Is that what's bothering you?
Among other things.
Like what?
That I knew nothing about Jim's condition until Audra and I got here yesterday. Now, when was the last time you saw him?
Just before he and Eric went on that trip to Arizona.
How was he?
Fine, as far as I could tell. But that doesn't mean a thing. Jim was in Arizona almost a month. Anything can happen to a man in that time.
Doesn't it seem odd to you that this man Morley was called in after you had been Jim's doctor for years?
To me it doesn't. I'm an old man, Victoria. And I haven't kept up with the latest developments of medicine. I don't make any bones about it. No. No, my feelings aren't hurt because Eric called in Morley. I think he did the right thing. I might have recommended the same thing myself.
I see. Well, I would like to ask a favor of you.
What's that?
That you see Jim before Audra and I leave here.
Now, what good will that do?
I don't know, but would you do it?
I can't, Victoria. Not without Morley's permission.
Amos.
And anyway, I'm supposed to be in Lake Junction
Amos,
today.
this is important.
All right. I'll discuss it when I get back.
No, that will be too late. Audra and I will be gone.
Well, Lake Junction isn't that far. I'll be back in a few hours.
That was the bridge out.
What bridge?
The Canyon Creek Bridge. Man flagged down the stage yesterday and said the bridge had collapsed.
The Canyon Creek Bridge isn't out. I came across it myself just
Amos,
yesterday
the man
evening.
stopped the stage and... Amos. Someone wanted to delay Audra and me in getting to Abbotsville. Or... perhaps they didn't want us to get here at all.
It kind of seemed that way, wouldn't it? Maybe I better take a look at Jim.
Good.
What time are you leaving?
We have to leave the ranch at 5 in order to catch the 7 o'clock train.
Uh-huh. Well, I have to make a call out that way later. I could be by Jim's about 4.
Thank you, Amos. Thank you very much. I was just on my way to your office. I've just had a talk with Amos Pierce.
Oh? About Jim?
Yes. I asked Amos to see him.
Did he agree?
Any objections?
No, I have no objections. But Dr. Morley will.
Dr. Morley is not in town, and I have no intentions of leaving here until I know more about Jim's condition than I do.
Dr. Morley told you.
He told us nothing.
Well, it's not my place to say anything in a case like this. If you want Amos Pierce to see Jim,
I do.
well, that's fine with me, Mrs. Barkley.
Eric?
Mrs. Barkley.
Mike's bringing the buggy around. He says you better leave now or you'll miss your train. I'll take your suitcases out.
I can't understand where Amos is. He said he'd be here before 5.
Mother, why don't we miss the wedding?
Oh, no, you can't do that. You're maid of honor. Harriet would be terribly disappointed.
Well, that can't be helped.
Yes, it can. Yes, it can. Now, you go on to San Francisco.
Mother,
now, hear me out. After the wedding, come right back here. You'll be gone less than 48 hours. And then we can stay on here as long as we want to.
You'll be sure to send me a telegram after you've seen Uncle Jim.
It will be waiting for you when you get to San Francisco. Oh, those 2 bags will stay here.
You're not going?
Audra is, but I'm staying. Now, Audra, give Harriet my love and tell her how sorry I am.
I will. I'll be back Sunday.
All right. Have a good time.
Can I fix you a cup of tea, Mrs. Barkley?
No, thank you. I'm going to drive into Abbotsville.
Yes, ma'am?
I was looking for Dr. Pierce.
I guess you haven't heard.
Along with Jim Barkley, Amos Pierce was one of my father's oldest friends. And I've known Doc Pierce for as long as I can remember anybody. Mrs. Barkley, I am just as shocked by what's happened as you are. And if you're implying that I had anything to do with it,
I asked a question.
the answer is yes. Yes, it was a coincidence that this happened to Doc Pierce right after you asked him to see Jim. Such coincidences do occur. Mrs. Barkley, it's obvious that you don't trust me. Now, I don't know why.
I'm interested in my brother-in-law's welfare.
And his estate. Oh, come now, Mrs. Barkley, isn't that a fair question? After all, when Jim dies, you will be his sole beneficiary.
Well, I'm not exactly a poor relation who needs his money.
Oh, that's true.
Then what are you getting at?
Well, I'm trying to find out what it is that you suspect me of. The thing that comes to mind is that perhaps you think I am mismanaging Jim's financial affairs.
So?
So you've got an appointment with me for 9 o'clock tomorrow morning to receive a complete accounting of all my transactions with Jim.
I want to see Jim, not his ledgers.
I'll arrange for that at the same time.
All right, Eric. All right. But you and Dr. Morley had better not disappoint me this time. Because I'm going to see Jim before I leave here. Even if it means breaking down his door to do it.
Easy now, Mrs. Barker. Easy.
Eric, I went into his room.
I know. That's why we tried to convince you he was dangerous. Mike and Grace found you unconscious on the floor.
Where's Jim now?
He's gone.
Gone?
He ran away. Sheriff Clark and a posse are out looking for him now.
Oh, well,
You gotta rest, Mrs. Barker. You gotta rest. I want you to take this medicine. It'll help you to sleep. Dr. Morley prescribed this for Grace. It'll start working right away. What is it?
Got a ring.
My ring?
It wasn't Jim. It was you. You! Run! Shut up!
What are you doing here?
The story about what happened here last night is all over town. How could I stay away?
Look, I want you to go home and stay out of it. Let me handle it.
What are you going to do?
Please, just go home.
Well, tell me.
All right. Victoria Barkley knows it was me in the room last night.
What else does she know?
Isn't that enough?
I'm going to tell the truth, Eric.
Oh, Dad, will you just stop saying that?
I don't care what happens to me. I won't permit murder.
You're too late.
What do you mean?
Do you really think Amos Pierce fell down those cellar steps accidentally?
Eric.
Mrs. Barkley had talked him into seeing Jim. I had to stop him.
My God.
So if you tell the truth now, it'll be the news for all of us. The Newcombs, Morley, for you and for me.
Amos Pierce. What are we, Eric? What have we done?
What have we done? Dad, we saved the mine. We saved the jobs of 200 men. And we saved Abbotsville.
Who's gonna save us?
Sheriff Clark is here.
Any news, Sheriff?
Yeah. We found these on the riverbank between here and the Edwards place. Have you ever seen them before, Mrs. Newcomb?
They're Mr. Jim's.
You sure?
Yes, he was wearing them yesterday. I put them out for him.
What do you think, Sheriff? He took these off to swim the river?
Well, that's how it looks to me. But it'd be a miracle if he ever made it, the way the current is this time of year. I put men to searching both banks of the river between here and Griffin's Ferry. But the way the river is, I have a hunch we'll never find Jim, alive or dead. How's Mrs. Barkley?
She's still unconscious. I left word for Dr. Morley to get out here as soon as he returns from Wall River. But I'm afraid he's going to be too late.
Well, if she dies, maybe it's a blessing that Jim did drown crossing that river. I'll see you later, Eric.
All right, Sheriff.
I thought you might like some hot coffee.
Mrs. Newcomb, you go up and stay with Mrs. Barkley. Morley should be here in a few minutes. Now keep the door locked and be careful. She knows it wasn't Jim Barkley in that room last night. Mrs. Newcomb, you and Mike don't want to have to leave here after all these years, do you?
No,
You just remember that.
I'm not likely to forget it, Mr. Eric.
You can buy people like Grace and Mike pretty cheaply. But a man like Morley must be rather expensive.
He is. But he's worth it when you need him.
Mrs. Barkley. Oh, no! What? No! No! Oh! Oh! Help! Help! Mr. Eric!
Mrs. Newcomb!
Mr. Eric! Help! Please! Help! Help! Mr. Eric! Mr. Eric! I've lost him! Help! Please! Help! Help!
Stay away from me. All of you, stay away from me. Now, where's Jim? What have you done with him? Answer me, where's Jim?
The medicine's beginning to work, isn't it, Mrs. Barkley?
Answer me!
He's dead.
You killed him.
No, actually, it was an accident. It happened when we were in Arizona. His horse threw him. He was killed instantly. We were 4 days from the nearest town, so I buried him where he died.
If you didn't kill him, why did you try to make me believe he was still alive?
He did it for me,
For you?
to keep the mine open, to save Abbotsville. When the bank refused to lend me the money to keep going, Eric got it for me by using Jim's power of attorney to sell off some of his holdings. The Arizona land, the horses and cattle here in the ranch. We had to pretend Jim was alive in order to keep his estate from being settled and to keep you from knowing what we'd done. Well, I intended to repay the money, and I still intend to. All I need is time. Just a little time. And I'll pay back every penny. We'll make it up to you.
And how are you going to make it up to Amos Pierce? Now you get out of my way.
Let her go.
I can't do that.
Get out of my... No!
Now, as soon as Morley gets
Eric,
here... Now, stay out of it. You got what you wanted, didn't you? Just stay out of it, Dad.
And what did you get out of it, Eric? The pleasure of saving a dead mine and a ghost town for your father? Or were you trying to save it for yourself? A dead mine and a ghost town wouldn't have been much for you to inherit, would it? Would it? Ah!
That's enough, Eric. Why didn't you answer her?
Get her out of here.
No, Mike. Let her go. We've done enough.
Can't you see what she's trying to do?
I see.
Dad, it's not true. I wasn't doing it for myself.
I'd like to believe that.
You can.
I'll take your word for it.
Then put down the gun. Give it to me, Dad.
No, Eric. No, please.
Give me
don't.
the gun. Let me have
No,
the gun. Give me
no,
the gun. Dad,
no,
let me have the gun.
You mustn't
Let me
have
have
the gun. You have to. No, Mike. Let her go.
Jared?
Well, this is a pleasant surprise. I didn't expect to find you still up.
Oh, I wasn't sleepy. I guess I'm enjoying being at home too much. How was the dance?
Oh, you know those Cattlemen Association dances, same old stampede. By the way, Tom Porter is bringing our little Miss Audra home.
Oh. I'm glad Audra went to the dance. I think, in a way, Jim's death was harder on her than any of us. Oh, Jared, I want you to do a favor for me.
Name it.
I want you to go to Abbotsville and see Ben Abbott for me.
See Ben? What for?
Before I left, I persuaded the district attorney to drop charges against Ben. I felt that with Eric's conviction of the murder of Amos Pierce, that Ben had suffered enough.
Well, that could be. Just what is it you want me to see Ben about?
Well, I want you to find out how much it will cost to keep the mine operating for another 6 months. I think that the price of silver will be back up again, don't you?
Possibly so, possibly so. But there's a little more to it than that, isn't there?
Yes. Ben Abbott was a desperate man, but he's not a murderer. He saved my life, and I think I'd like to try and save his town for him. Otherwise, a lot of innocent people may be hurt, and we don't want that. We don't need another ghost town.
I'll tell you what. I'll leave first thing in the morning.
Thank you.
Good night, Mother.
Good night. Jared. Did you say that Tom Porter was bringing Audra home?
Yeah.
Oh, he's a very nice young man.
I got the feeling Audra felt the same way. She saved every dance for him.
Well, that's very, very interesting.
You know, I get to decide.
No sign of him yet?
No.
Nick, what makes you so sure it's Browse we're after?
One of the newest hands at the ranch is why.
That's no reason, though.
Well, he told me himself he used to hang around Cherokee Strip.
Well, so did I once. That don't make a man a thief.
Well, I got it all figured out. Scientifically, right from this book.
Isn't that one of the books Jared brought home?
That's right. And this Winfield, he's got it all figured out. Says you can spot a criminal by his face. His ears, for example.
By his what?
His ears. Now, the way I make it out is that you draw a line straight back from a man's eye. And if his ear falls below that line, he's a criminal.
That's all?
That's it. So, we started missing things around the ranch, and, well, I started taking a closer look at all the hands.
And you came up with Bill Browse?
He's got the lowest ears. Quiet. Shh. Well, we'll see who laughs now. It's Bill Briles.
Gotcha. What? Heath, what'd I tell you? What? What's wrong? Look at that.
Low ears.
Browse, what are you doing out here?
What do you mean, what am I doing out here?
Just answer the question.
Now, look, I didn't do nothing wrong.
What's going on here?
We just caught ourselves a thief.
Nick, Briles and I rode out here together looking for you.
He could still be the thief.
Nick, not 20 minutes ago, somebody broke into the tack room and stole 4 of our best saddles. That's what we rode out here to tell you.
Well, now, how do you know it wasn't him?
Because he was standing right beside me when it happened.
Oh. Nick, why don't you let the sheriff handle these things?
Do that, will you, Nick?
Maybe you got it wrong, Nick. Maybe we're supposed to be on the lookout for people with high ears.
Chapter 4, Suspects. Find out.
I'd say it's hot enough for a beer. You buying? All right. Well, what do you know? I gotta go over to the office first, sign a couple of papers. And I'll wait inside. Nick, you'd have just about enough time to go see the sheriff.
Oh, I'll get around to that. Oh, by the way, here's something you can have.
Winfield, huh? So that's what that ear business was all about.
A lot he knows.
Well, if you'd asked, Nick, before you ran off playing detective, I could have told you there's no proof his system works.
I got proof it don't.
Hi, Nick.
Hi, mate. Oh, what's all the excitement? Beer. No, whiskey. Whiskey.
You catch your thief?
Just pour the whiskey.
You didn't catch him.
Anyone ask you?
I never knew you detective fellows were so temperamental.
Maggie, I remember the good old days when bartenders used to mind their own business.
I remember the good old days, too. You know, there hasn't been a big spender in here since the 4th of July.
Well, here's the big spend. Right.
The town's full of drovers now, and they don't get paid until all cattle are sold. Well, nothing to do but wait.
Well, your waiting's through, lady. Here, play some. You, dance?
Why not? I think we better sit this one out.
I just saw you want a little excitement, honey.
Watch it, Sonny. Say, how old are you anyhow?
Old enough, sister. Hey, there's enough here to set him up for everybody.
Wait a minute, boy. Put that money back in your pocket.
Hey, why don't you stick your nose back into your own business, mister? What's the matter? Didn't you hear me?
You put that bottle back up here on this bar. Right now.
So don't worry about it, mister. There's enough here to buy this whole stinking place.
I don't care how much is there. I don't sell to kids. Now give me that bottle.
Here. Now, you don't want to shoot the best bartender in Stockton, do you? I told you to cut it out. Now, hold it.
Well, bunch of real sports, huh? What's your name, mister?
Who, me? Nick. Nick Barkley. What's yours?
Danny. Just Danny. And you'll want to remember that, Barkley.
Oh, Danny, I sure will remember it. Here, you take this gun, put it back in your holster, and leave it there. Now, you better get on home before your folks start wondering where you are.
Who's the desperado?
You were lucky you weren't gunned down. Harry, give my brother here something for his nerves, will you?
You know, I think I've seen that kid somewhere before.
That kid's hard to overlook. Give me one, too, will you, Harry?
What was going on?
Well, first of all, he came in here, he's going to buy the place a drink. Then he's going to buy the place. Then he's going to shoot Harry.
Sheriff catches him running around with that gun on, he's going to be in a mess of trouble.
Oh, he and Trouble aren't too much strangers, I'm afraid.
You know, Nick, he reminds me of somebody I used to know.
Yeah, who?
You, when you were about that age.
Oh, yeah?
Yes, sir. I can remember you getting bailed out of quite a few scrapes when you were no older than he is.
Two of a kind, huh?
Wiggins.
Wiggins who?
Well, that's what that boy's name is, Daniel Wiggins. I can remember I did some legal work for his parents when they moved here about a year ago.
What kind of parents let a boy out like that?
They probably don't know who he is. I think it was a doctor and Mrs. Wiggins. I made some kind of a financial arrangement to keep him in school up in San Francisco. They live out on the north side of town, just beyond the stage stop.
Well, that boy doesn't straighten out. He's never going to see the best side of 16.
Oh, he'll probably grow out of it, grow up to be mayor.
Mm-hmm, probably.
Nick, speaking of city officials, when are you going to go see the sheriff?
I was going to go over there,
Well, of course not. If you're a little too embarrassed to let him know that you've been doing detective work on your own, I'll be
I'm going. And Harry, he's buying.
Yes?
Oh, howdy. You Mrs. Ray Wiggins?
Yes, what is it?
Well, my name's Nick Barkley. And, well, I know it's none of my business, but it's about your son, Danny.
What on earth are you talking about?
Well, he seems to be making quite a show of himself around town, and I thought maybe you and the good doctor should know about it before he gets into trouble.
Mr. Barkley, I don't know what you're talking about. I don't have a son.
Well, but you just said that...
I believe my wife was quite explicit, sir. We do not have a son. Now, good day, sir.
Jared. Heath around?
No.
Oh.
Well, what'd he say?
Who?
Who? The sheriff.
Oh, the sheriff. Well, I got so busy in town that, well,
Nick?
Jared, you said that Dr. and Mrs. Wiggins live out by the old stage stop, right?
Yeah, that's right.
I went out to see them. You know what they told me?
No, I don't know what they told you.
They didn't even have a son.
Well, they do.
Well, now, why would they say such a thing, then?
I don't know, but what I am interested in is what the sheriff intends to do about our 2 missing horses and 5 of our best saddles.
Will you stop pushing? I intend telling him.
When?
Nick, are you going to help me move that herd south or not?
Heath, you're the one I've been waiting for. Come on, let's go. Nick! You coming? Where have you been?
I've been out there in the barn getting the gear ready.
In the barn? Ain't no work in the barn. The work's out where I am.
You sure get in a hurry.
Wait!
My saddle. It's gone.
Rushed out again?
Yeah, this thief must be half Indian.
He sure knows how to cover tracks.
He's got that saddle broke in good, too. Looks like I'm gonna have to break in another one. All right. I think it's best I went see the sheriff. Come on, Coco. Get up, yeah. Yeah.
4 days. You finally get around to telling me about it.
There were reasons, Fred.
Yeah, sure. That's all you're missing?
Up till now, I haven't checked in the past 10 minutes.
Get in line and take your turn.
Well, what's that supposed to mean?
Well, it means this, Nick. For the last 2 weeks, there's been a rash of thievery. Every outlying ranch for 15 miles has been hit.
You think it's a gang or something?
I don't know. Well, there have been some drovers in town, but I haven't made up my mind yet.
No clues, nothing?
Nothing. Nobody's heard anything. Nobody's seen anything. I circled every ranch looking for tracks. The few tracks I found just petered out before they led anywhere.
Yeah, Heath and I had the same kind of luck.
Nick, I'll do the best I can.
Thank you, Fred. I'll see you later.
Boy, I want words with you. I said I wanted words with you, boy.
Well, I don't want none with you.
Don't you get smart with me.
Just stay away from me.
Why'd you come back here?
Well, I'll tell you. I knew you'd be worried about me. Daddy. You touch me one more time and I'll blow your head off.
Murderous little savage. Get out of this town before something happens. Go away, for your mother's sake.
What are you whispering about, huh? You afraid somebody's gonna hear? She's my mother! She's my...
Daddy! It's Nick Barkley. I want to talk to you. I should have figured.
Why did you follow me, Barkley?
You set that trap for me out there.
Uh-huh. Sioux deer trap. You walked right into it. Visitors not welcome. You sure were hanging high and loose out there.
Trap a man like you trap a wild animal. That's very funny. This whole roof could come down on top of you. You know that.
Well, just so you know.
You steal all this stuff, did you?
Uh-huh.
What are you, 14 years old?
You recognize this, Barkley?
It's my saddle.
I told you in the saloon you'd have reason to remember me.
I sure can pick the ones to help out, can't I?
I don't need any help.
You sure did when you got into it with your old man in the middle of that street.
If you'd left us alone, I'd have killed him.
Your own father.
He's not my father. Now shut up about it.
Well, now that you got me here, what do you plan on doing with me?
I ain't decided.
Well, now, sooner or later, you're gonna have to turn me loose.
You sure about that? Now, let's see. What do you want for supper? Canned beef? Truffles? Caviar?
Caviar?
Well, it's a little too fancy for a Barkley, isn't it? All right, we'll just have beans.
Do you know where you are?
Sure. Worked out mine.
Not worked out. Abandoned.
What's the difference?
There's a big difference. This is the old Ophir mine. 16 men were buried alive here. That's why they closed it up. This whole mountain's faulted and shifting.
Well, then nobody will come nosing around, will they? You know, you never did answer about why you followed me.
What difference does that make? Let's get back to this little business of yours, shall we? How to get rid of all this stuff?
Well, you see, I sell this junk cheap to storekeepers. They don't ask questions as long as they make a neat profit. We're all thieves together.
Uh-huh. Is that what you plan to be when you grow up? A thief?
I just practice what the good book says. An eye for an eye and a tooth for a tooth. I've had mighty good teachers.
You seen Nick?
I figure he left early.
His bed wasn't slept in last night.
Maybe you met a pretty girl in town last night.
Yeah, maybe. Maybe we better take a little look around for him. If he shows up grinning, full of some wild story, you can help me break his foolish neck.
Keep shaking there, you won't have to worry about ever getting loose. Well, I got it figured out now what I'm gonna do with you.
I'm afraid, I'm not gonna bring very much from your business partners.
No, probably not. but how much you figure you're worth to your family.
What are you getting at?
I figure I'll ransom you.
I'm afraid I'm not going to bring much there either.
Well, I'm not greedy. Now, let's see. I need enough to get me set up in style somewhere else, but not so much that they're going to have trouble getting it in cash.
Danny, you know what you're talking about. You're talking about kidnapping. Now, there's a big difference in that and stealing things to trade for food to eat.
You think that sheriff's going to see the difference?
There's a big difference. They catch up with you on something like this, well, I can't help you.
Oh, that's right. That's right. That's what you followed me out here to do, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah, just untie those ropes and you'll make everything all right.
I could try, Danny. Danny, I could try.
I could say I got thrown off my horse and you found me and helped me out, and that's all that happened. They'll believe me.
$5,000. That's what they're going to believe, Barkley. $5,000. Now, let's see here. To the Barkleys. If you want Nick back alive, get $5,000 in cash. Have Mrs. Barkley deliver to Indian Springs at noon today. I'll be watching. No trick. Or no Nick. There. That ought to do it.
Yeah, that ought to do it. First step to you being hanged.
Catching a Sioux ain't that easy.
You're no Sioux.
That's where you're wrong. Danny Running Dog, that's me.
Danny Wiggins.
Wiggins.
Yeah.
That's his name, not mine. He's her husband, that's all he is.
Who's your father?
Maybe these looks of mine got you fooled. My father was an Indian.
Running Dog.
It was his name. He took my mother from a wagon train. Later, they rescued her. When I was born, she wouldn't even look at me.
So they sent you away?
Yeah, but I kept running off to go back to her. She hated me. I never could understand why. And then he told me. Told me who I really was. $5,000, Barkley. That's all I'm gonna think about now.
Heath, it's Nick's horse. I'd say we don't have much choice. Get the sheriff.
No.
You don't think you're going out there alone?
Yes, I am, just as soon as you bring me the money from the bank.
Now, look, we don't know who we're dealing with
We are
here.
dealing with Nick's life.
I'm aware of that, Mother, but we're not going to save his life by doing what that note says.
The note says if you want Nick back alive. Now, that seems plain enough.
No, it isn't plain enough. Believe me, I know something about the pattern of kidnappers. They're scared. Once they get the money, they usually kill their victims so they can't identify them.
Nick is safe as long as he's of value. After that, there's no telling.
Well, last year, when they kidnapped the Tompkins boy, they let him go.
They probably felt sorry for him. But it's more likely they knew he was too young to identify them.
We could hide out early near Indian Springs. Catch him as he picks up the money.
And if you don't, if something goes wrong? I don't want to do anything that will jeopardize any chance Nick might have.
All right. We'll get the money.
Jared, Heath. Get the sheriff.
You still worried about your neck?
Both our necks.
Well, they have that note by now. Next thing, they'll hightail it into town and get that money out of the bank. You know, you ain't near as talkative as you were.
I was just thinking about how much alike you and I are. No, I'm serious. I remember when I was about your age, my father gave me a horse. And he told me the day I learned to ride that horse, I'd become a man.
Yeah, and I suppose you went right out and rode him, huh?
No, that old horse threw me farther than most crows fly. It's quite a horse, though. I remember I used to go into the barn at night to sleep just to be near him.
You know that I'm not interested in your horse or your story.
Oh, I love that animal. But he didn't love me too much, though. One time I went into curry and groom him. He liked to kill me. Something about that horse, he just hated the sight of me. So I decided that I'd hate him just as much as he hated me. I took my rifle, and I went into the barn, and I aimed that old rifle right between his eyes. I couldn't pull the trigger.
Why not?
Because I found I still loved him. And all of a sudden I understood there was nothing I could do about the way he felt about me. So I knew what I had to do. I had to walk away from him. I had to forget him. I had to start thinking of something else, something bigger, something more important to do with my life. I had to go on living, Danny. For myself.
I'd have pulled the trigger.
Planning to shoot my mother, are you?
No. It's your brothers I'll be looking out for.
Danny, supposing all this goes according to your plan, you get the money, then what?
Hold up here till dark and get as far away as I can before morning.
What about me?
First town I go through, I'll drop a note to your folks, tell them where to find you.
Danny, hold up a minute. Wait a minute. Look, it's not too late, you know. You can call this whole thing off. I know nothing about the law, but my brother's a lawyer. He does. And, well, maybe between he and myself, well, we can straighten this thing out for you. Leastwise, we'll stick with you.
I can't. I haven't got any choice now. Can't you understand that?
Take cover in these rocks here.
I'll take care of the horses.
We got 2 hours. Wish I could tell you it was going to seem shorter.
Just as long as he shows up.
What are you doing here?
Just hunting rabbits, sir.
Well, hunt them someplace else.
Sure, Sheriff, but what's happening? What's going on?
Never mind. Get back there and stay out of sight.
Yes, sir.
Let's get the horses.
Our horses, they're gone.
$5,000.
Maybe you can use that to buy over your mother. There's $1,000 to make her admit you exist.
Shut up!
And another $1,000 to make her look at you.
I'm warning you.
And you can always use the rest of it to make her love you.
I said shut up!
Well, that's the end of the tracks.
Well, at least we know he was in this area. Fan out, keep your eyes open.
Danny! Danny, you all right? Can you move? Can you move your legs?
I guess we're in somewhat of a mess, huh?
Yeah, you could say that.
You know, there's no reason for you to believe me now. But I was gonna leave a knife where you could get to it. With a little work.
Why, Danny?
I don't know for sure. But it doesn't matter now.
It matters, Danny. It matters. We're both gonna get out of here together.
It's too late, Nick.
No, Danny. It's not too late. It's never too late. Danny, the cleaver. The cleaver over there, can you reach it? It's right next to your right arm. Try to reach it. Reach out for it. That's it. Come on, Danny. Try. Come on, boy. Danny, your gun. Can you reach your gun? Can you get to it? It'll give you more reach.
Now get out of here!
Come on, Danny, we're going out of here together. Look, Danny. I can't promise you that your mother will ever change, but I'll help you, Danny. Our whole family will.
No. Now you try and move me, and the rest of that ceiling's gonna come down.
Danny, we're going out of here together. Besides, Black Irishman and a half Indian. That's a team that's pretty hard to beat. What do you say? Come on. Come on, boy. Let's go. Come on, let's get out of here. Come on. Danny, remember, together. Huh?
Still couldn't find him?
Oh, we looked everywhere.
Including the saloon.
I thought he liked it here.
He did. Maybe he was just putting on an act.
Oh, I don't believe that.
Neither do I. You wouldn't run out on me.
How and I feel, Nick. But he wouldn't be the first backslider we've run into.
Still think something's happened to him.
Why don't we give the back range one more circle?
All right. Well, what happened to you?
Miss Barkley, I know it cost plenty squaring all the things I took, so I dug this up for you.
You mean to tell me you went back into that mine after I gave you orders not to, knowing full well that a good sneeze and the whole thing had come down on top of you? Don't you listen to anything?
Using dynamite?
Yes, sir. You familiar with it?
Moderately. I know it's tricky compared with gunpowder. What's the project?
The irrigation ditch. We got water on the other side. We aim to bring it down into the valley.
Glasses, Sergeant.
Sir.
You'd be using that defile. First charge at the top, second near the bottom should do it.
Yes, sir. Just about a minute in between. You a demolition man?
Hardly.
Excuse me, sir. But would you be, by any chance, Major Jonathan Elliott?
I am.
Would it be okay if we shook hands, sir? I'm mighty proud to know you. Excuse me, sir. Morning, ladies. Sorry I got to stop. They'll be blown to bits. Hold it, Major. Stop! He'll never make it.
I'm betting he will.
Hang on, Audra! Hang on! I can't hold him, Audra! Jump! Are you all right, Audra? Yes. It's my leg. I can't make it. Run! Run, Audra. I can't make it.
I think that's the best looking woman I've seen you with in a long time.
Mother Silas has fixed up the guest bedroom.
But first, Madame is going to try the latest thing in Barclay buggies. Right this way.
Guaranteed to stop and turn better than any kind horse.
And I have some new magazines for you to read.
Oh, thank you. Well, you all keep this up, I may decide never to get well.
If I know you, you'll be tearing up and down those stairs under your own steam within 2 weeks.
Well, I certainly hope so. I know I'm very grateful to Major Elliott. Oh, I hope someone thought of inviting him for dinner.
I did. As a matter of fact, he should be here any minute.
Good.
Oh, that must be him now.
Audra, your nose is shiny.
Is it?
No, on second thought, I think it's your eyes. Hello, Silas.
Come in, Major.
Thank you. I hope I'm not late.
No, sir. You're right on time and mighty welcome.
Hello, Major. Jared. Howdy. Hello, Nick.
Major.
Good to see you again, Mrs. Barclay. Miss Audra, you both look just fine.
Please, sit down.
Thank you.
Major, you have no idea how nice it is to see you. Only, how does one thank a man for doing what you did?
By not mentioning it again, please. Seeing you, all of you, is ample payment.
Well, it's nice seeing you again, Major. And if you'll excuse me, I have a few things to tend to.
Of course. Audra, why don't you pour the Major a cup of coffee? What's your assignment going to be here?
Locating 5 acres of suitable land within easy riding distance of Stockton for a supply depot. preferably near water.
That sounds like the North 40 to me, and it's not very far from the river.
Well, that's fine. I'll make that my first stop.
And why don't you make our home your headquarters while you're here? There's plenty of room for you and your orderly.
Wouldn't want to impose?
It's no imposition at all, believe me, Major.
And I could be your guide, if you'd like.
Well, in that case, I accept. With your permission, of course, Mrs. Barkley.
Permission granted, Major.
And just how long are we going to be around here anyway, Major?
Oh, it's hard to tell. Listen, I've got an idea. You're not really needed here. Why don't you go up to San Francisco and stay at the Palace and enjoy yourself for a few days? A treat's on me, of course.
Well, thank you now. But I don't think I will.
Suit yourself.
Where would we be going now?
Not we, me. I'm going to look at that land.
Alone?
I'll have a guide.
A guide? It wouldn't be the girl now, would it, Major?
We won't discuss it.
Come off it, Elliot. Why do you think I want to stay around here? That'll do, Sergeant.
Major?
Yes, sir, Major. I'll have the other horses saddled in a moment, sir.
Very good, Sergeant. Very good. Good morning, Miss Audrey. A handsome view. Is it always like this?
It's especially lovely this time of year.
Where every prospect pleases, and only man is vile.
A soldier who reads poetry?
It has sustained me from time to time when everything else has failed. May we rest here for a moment?
I've been reading Swinburne.
Oh, yes.
Are you familiar with his work?
My favorite lines are from the Garden of Proserpine.
Here where the world is quiet.
No, another stanza.
Which one?
From too much love of living, from hope and fear set free, we thank with brief thanksgiving whatever gods may be, that no life lives forever, that dead men rise up never, that even the weariest river winds somewhere safe to sea. Obviously, that's not your favorite stanza.
No. It's too dark, too hopeless.
And your world is full of hope. Full of bright and beautiful sunshine, isn't it?
I like to think so.
Does the Major have any further orders for me, sir?
No, Sergeant. We'll be moving on now.
Very funny.
More beef, Sergeant.
No, thank you, ma'am. It's the finest meal I've ever had, but I'm all full up.
Well, you figure the land in the North Pasture is what you're interested in, eh?
Well, it's the best I've seen so far, but I'd like to scout around some more, if you don't mind.
Oh, Ed Masters wants to know if he can come out and do an interview on you for our local newspaper.
Only if I can't avoid it.
That's one of the prices of fame, I'm afraid, Major.
And a waste of time. I gave an interview several months ago in St. Louis. The reporter wanted to know all the gory details of old battles, while I wanted to talk about the things that concern me today. The interview was a fiasco, of course.
What are the things that concern you, Major?
I'm sure we'd all be interested.
Our cities have become cesspools of ice, and the corruption is spreading throughout the entire land.
Well, now, do you really feel that way, Major?
Yes, and it's one battle I'd be eager to fight.
I've told the Major he should run for public office.
That'll do, Sergeant.
Oh, try our wine. It's from our own vineyards.
Thank you.
Begging the Major's pardon. No wine for you, sir.
Surely just a half a glass, Sergeant.
Oh, no, sir. The regimental surgeon gave me strict instructions. Alcohol for medicinal purposes only, and only in an emergency.
McQuaid is my faithful watchdog. And he's right, of course. My old wounds sometimes prohibit my simple pleasures.
Do you want to hang? Because I can arrange it anytime you like, Major, and you know it. So here are your orders, Major. Number 1, you stay away from the Barclay girl.
Don't dirty her name by mentioning it.
Oh, you're a real little leprechaun, aren't you, my love? Order number 2, you stay away from the booze. Even you should know better by this time.
Get out.
Oh, get out. Happens to be order number 3. You stop your stalling, you finish your business, and you get out. Because if you don't, I may not be able to save your skin this time. Do you understand? So say good night. And I'll be seeing you in the morning, Major.
I'm gonna get you. I'm gonna get me a gun and I'm gonna get you.
You're gonna go sleep it off. Now get out of here, Crowley, and don't come back.
I'll get you. I'm gonna get me a gun. I'll be back.
It's getting late, and we're getting ready to close up. So if you don't mind, sir, Major Elliott.
We've met?
Well, not exactly, but I was with the 7th at Dollar Creek. Oh. If you want a drink, it's on the house, Major.
Well, thank you, but you buy yourself a drink and bring me a bottle, please.
Yes, sir, Major.
Hello, Major. They call me Cora around here.
Good evening.
And getting on towards morning, I got me a room upstairs, out across the alley. If you'd like to do your drinking there.
Get away from me.
You heard him, Cora. Beat it. The best in the house. Pennsylvania rye whiskey.
That'll be just fine. To the brave men of Dollar Creek.
Yes, sir.
Excellent. My compliments.
Oh, my pleasure, Major. And we'll be open as long as you care to stay.
Thank you.
Yes, sir.
I didn't expect you tonight, Major.
I didn't figure you'd expect me, Meg.
Meg? Oh, it's me, Cora. Remember? You want me to play like I'm this, Meg. Now, what was she like?
Mm-hmm. I know you, Meg. Did you think I'd ever forget?
Major, I think you had a little bit too much to drink. I'm gonna make it all right. It's a little cold in here, Major. Would you shut the door?
morning.
Good morning, Audra. Morning, Audra. You and the Major going out again this morning?
After breakfast.
Did you know, Jared, that Major Elliott started out as a rear rank private? Do tell. Right.
2 months later, he was a sergeant. He was commissioned in the field, and he finished the war as a captain. Before he came here, he commanded a garrison at Tucson.
Now, somehow I should have known that she would know all that. Is the sergeant going along with you?
I suppose so.
Somehow I figured that. There's not too much the Major can do without the sergeant.
Sergeant McQuaid is his orderly.
Good morning.
Morning, Major.
I'm sorry I overslept. It's something I rarely do.
Oh, there's no need to apologize. I'm just glad you had a good night's rest.
Actually, I didn't get to sleep till almost dawn. When I did, I slept like a child.
Well, I've got to get out and prod those hired hands. Now that Heath is up in San Francisco, it leaves all the work to me. There'll be no gallivanting around now. Here? All right. Bye-bye.
Major? Well, I'm afraid I have to be on my way, too. Mother, you are under strict orders to have a good day.
Fine.
You too, Major.
Thank you. I'm sure I will. I envy you your family, Mrs. Barclay. My father died when I was a boy, and I never did have any brothers or sisters.
And your mother?
My mother. Oh, she's living in Mexico now. I suppose I did have a family of sorts when I was growing up. My mother kept a roof over our heads by running a lodging house. So there were always plenty of people around. Men from all over the world. That gave me an education. I suppose I didn't appreciate it at the time. Yes, my mother gave me quite a head start in life.
Do you have pictures of her?
No, but she was beautiful. She was the toast of the lodging house. I remember people used to call her by her first name. And so did I when I was quite small. Folks used to think that was funny, and I guess it was.
What was her name?
Meg.
Well, hello, Fred. Come on in.
Morning, Jared.
What brings you out our way?
I've got to see Major Elliott.
Oh, what about?
You remember a girl worked at the Gold Eagle named Cora?
Yeah?
She was murdered last night. The bartender says that you were one of the last people to see Cora alive, Major.
I was in town last night. How did she die?
She was strangled. Whoever did it put his brand on her.
His brand? What do you mean?
The letter A was burned into her shoulder with a match or lit cigar.
Wasn't there a book by Hawthorne, The Scarlet Letter, where the heroine was forced to wear the letter A?
Why?
She was accused of being an adulteress.
That's it.
Oh, Major, how did it happen you were at the Gold Eagle so early this morning?
I couldn't sleep. You recall my exchange with McQuaid about the wine last night?
Yes, I do.
Well, I'm still carrying some Confederate lead around in me, and it's painful. When it hurts too much and I can't sleep, alcohol will usually do the trick. However, our regimental surgeon prefers that I abstain until times of real need. Last night was one of those times.
Major, was there anyone else in the saloon?
Just the bartender and the unfortunate girl when I arrived. The bartender was alone when I left.
Jared, do you remember Judd Crowley?
Judd Crowley? Yeah, he used to work for us about a year ago.
Yeah, that's the one. He's been helping out over at Kane's stable recently. The bartender says that Judd was giving Cora fits about something or other most of the night. So bad he had to throw him out just about the time you arrived.
Yes, I remember now. He was so drunk he could hardly stand on his feet.
Did you hear him threaten anyone?
He said he was going to get a gun and come back.
Yeah, that checks. Now, by any chance, did you happen to see him later?
Well, as I recall, there's a stairway outside the building across the alley from the saloon.
That's right. Go on.
I have no idea where it leads. As I was leaving, I saw a man walking up those stairs. I remember because I wondered who else would be out that late.
Was it Crowley?
It was.
Thank you, sir.
It's Tucson all over again. Everything's exactly the same.
We're all right. They don't suspect me. And I give you my oath it won't happen again.
Your oath? Don't make me laugh, Major.
Yes, I'm rid of that feeling. I'm cleansed. Look in my eyes. It's out of my system.
Until you get your hands on a jug again, you are a blooming maniac.
I'm not. That's not true. I was a hero during the war. I risked my life time and time again. Look at some of these medals.
The war's over, Major. And that won't wash out what you've done to these innocent girls.
Innocent. They were filth, and the world's a better place without them.
Oh, really? And just what did they ever do to you?
They exist.
That's no answer, Major.
Sergeant, I'm going to tell you a story. Want a surprise? I'm going to tell you about my mother.
I'm not interested in your mother.
My mother ran the most popular boarding house in the city, and it wasn't because of the quality of the rooms. Do you have any idea what it's like for a little boy to find that out about his mother? To hear dirty jokes? To be pointed out with a wink and a smirk? Do you want to hear more?
Where are you going? You take it easy. Anything happens to me, and they open a letter that puts a rope around your neck.
I don't think so. You could have turned me in after Tucson, but you didn't. Because you were a rear private with a bad record and no future. You wanted to climb aboard a gravy train, get a promotion, be my orderly, live my kind of life, share my money.
That's not how it happened. You begged me. You told me that I'd be a fool to pass up such a chance.
You tell that to a court and see where it gets you.
All right. You win. But there's got to be no more killing.
Oh, I told you there wouldn't be anyone else. No, it's over now. Over.
I pray that it is, Major.
Now, you just relax and enjoy your stay here. You may never have another opportunity to be at such a fine place.
All right. But doesn't the Major think that it's time for us to leave this place?
The Major does not. The Major has plans.
Plans?
Audra Barkley, Sergeant. I've never met anyone like her before. With her, I feel it would change everything.
Are you serious, man?
Yes, I am. She will be my salvation. She's pure. I feel I can fully and finally cleanse myself with her.
Well, we're off. Are you sure you're going to be all right?
Just fine.
Major, why don't you join us?
Where are you going?
Well, it's just the Cattlemen Association meeting, but we usually cut that short and sweet and get into the most cutthroat poker game you've ever seen.
Thank you, but I think I'll just stay here and keep the ladies company if you don't mind.
Well, all right.
Jared, don't keep a kicker.
Never. Where's Nick?
Where's Jared?
There's Nick.
And you, Nick, don't draw to an inside straight.
Oh, no, not me. I learned not to do that from you. You who beat me out of $5, remember?
Well, that's very pretty playing, miss. Very pretty.
That's because you have no ear for music.
You are absolutely right. Major?
Nick, will you come on?
All right.
Oh, I'm sorry. I hope you ladies don't mind.
Not a bit.
Well, now, Jared, you ready to lose the east wing of the Barkley Ranch?
Please don't stop. Not now.
You've heard my entire repertoire. Besides, it's time for coffee.
Mrs. Barkley. I'm going to marry your daughter.
I beg your pardon.
I said I'm going to marry your daughter. I hope this pleases you.
Major, well, we all admire you very much, and we are very grateful to you for what you have done, but...
Am I to understand that you're rejecting me?
Oh, no, no, no. In the final analysis, Audra's wishes are all that are important. But you barely know each other. Aren't you being a bit hasty?
Hasty? Well, who knows how much life is left for you, for me, for anyone? Can't you see?
What's the matter?
She is opposed to our marriage.
Our marriage?
Yes. I won't permit it. I respect your mother, Audra, but our future together is really all that matters.
I'm sorry, but I don't love you. In fact, I barely know you. It takes time.
Time? There is no time. I thought you were different, but perhaps not. Perhaps there's another man. Lots of men. I thought you were pure, but... With your permission, ladies, I shall remove my unwelcome presence.
I've never seen him act like that.
Oh, Audra, he's a strange man. A very strange man.
Evening, Jar.
Oh, Fred.
Join me in a bite?
No, thanks. Coffee hot?
Sure, help yourself.
How you doing with Judd Crowley?
Oh, you mean has he confessed? No, as a matter of fact, he keeps hollering he didn't do it.
What do you think, Fred?
You know it doesn't make any difference what I think, Jar. It's up to the judge and the jury.
I mean just between us.
Well, all right. He's making a believer out of me, Jared. If it wasn't for Major Elliott identifying him the way he did, I don't think I'd even be holding him.
You mind if I have a little talk with him?
No. Wish you would. Judge, you got a visitor. Call when you're through.
Thanks, Fred. Hello, Judd.
What do you want, Barkley?
Just a little conversation.
How come?
Well, might be that I could help you.
The last help I got from a Barkley was a boot in the seat of my britches.
That's because you were drunk, Judd. Mean, fighting drunk, just once too often. Nick warned you about it, you didn't listen.
Well, I've been doing this fine without the Barkleys, thank you.
Sure you have. That's why you're lying here in jail, booked on suspicion of murder.
I didn't do it.
I suppose you tell me about it.
Some people get all the breaks, that's all. I've been kicked around all my life.
Did you go back to Cora's room after the saloon closed?
No.
Major Elliott said he saw you going up the stairs.
The only thing I can figure, he just... Well, he must have seen somebody that looks a whole lot like me.
Light must have been pretty poor, right, Judd?
Well, that's the answer. That's the whole thing out there in a nutshell, ain't it?
Judd, if it comes down to your word or the Major's, you realize whose word the jury's going to take, don't you?
Yeah. But I didn't kill that girl. I couldn't kill anybody. Least of all her.
You were drunk.
Yes, I was drunk. And I was talking mean. That's all it was, just a lot of talk.
Judd, were you in Tucson, Arizona about a year ago?
I never been to Tucson in my life. I was working for you a year ago, remember?
Does the letter A mean anything to you?
What are you talking about? I never learned how to read and write. Mr. Barkley, I'm going to tell you something. You probably ain't going to believe it.
Why don't you try me, Judd?
I was in love with that girl. I wanted her to marry me. She wouldn't do it. That's why I got so drunk. That's why I got thrown out of that place.
Tell me something, Judd. Do you feel that she was pure enough for marriage?
She was a good girl. She just never had no decent chance, that's all.
I don't mean any offense, Judd.
I wasn't good enough for her. Anyway, what difference does it make? I reckon she's gone now.
Fred?
Well, what do you think?
I agree with you. He didn't do it.
You gonna defend him?
Maybe, if it comes to that. Fred, do you remember hearing about the murder of a dance hall girl in Tucson, Arizona about a year ago?
No. Should I?
No? No reason why you should. It's just that I read a couple of lines in the San Francisco newspaper about it.
Well, the girls are getting beaten up and killed sometimes. It's not what you might call an easy trade.
Yeah, but this was special.
How special?
She was strangled and branded with the letter A.
Just to go with the sheriff of Tucson, Arizona.
That's right.
Saloon girl murdered and branded. Your town, approximately 1 year ago. Is criminal still at large? Urgently request immediate answer and details of crime. Collect. Care of this office. Signed, Fred Madden, Sheriff. You gonna wait on this?
We'll be over the Gold Eagle.
Rush it over just the second it comes in, will you, Nate?
Yes, sir, Mr. Barkley.
I was wondering when you were going to try it, Sergeant.
I don't know what the Major is suggesting.
The Major is suggesting that the Major would be no harm to the Sergeant when dead, and therefore incapable of contradicting whatever story the Sergeant chose to tell the authorities.
No, sir. I was just trying to keep you out of any further trouble by forcing you to leave. I figured if you stayed here much longer...
To the brave men of Dollar Creek.
Thanks, Nate. That Tucson gal died the same way poor Cora did, Sheriff. And they never caught the man that did it.
Let's go, Fred.
Major Elliott? Major, I thought I heard him.
You're impatient, aren't you, Meg? I was just coming to get you. Meg? Where are all your men now, Meg? They used you and they joked about it. But they can't help you now, can they, Meg? I loved you, Meg. I could kill you quickly, you know. But I won't. Because you must be punished. The whole world must know what you are.
No! No!
Say, Nick, do you see what I see? And just what do you think you're doing?
Demonstrating the fact I'm no longer an invalid. I may even cook dinner for you tonight. He's coming home. Audra, I made it all by myself.
I don't believe it.
I did.
She certainly did. Well.
All right, you two, what's going on?
Well, we just got through talking to the Army. Seems they're very well satisfied with the North 40.
Oh?
Of course, we told them we didn't think so, but we'd let them know.
Well, why not? It would be good for the town and good for us, too, wouldn't it?
Atta girl, Audra. Nick, what do you say we take care of that little thing?
All righty. Bye, Mother. Audra.
I guess they were afraid they'd stir up some bad memories.
You know, it's strange, Mother. You were so brave and yet so gentle. I wonder what changed him into another man.
I don't know, Audra. I don't know. Because there were...
Better get her to the cabin.
The cabin? We got enough trouble dodging cattle guards. We don't need no more.
Can't leave a woman to die, O'Leary. Trouble or not.
If we hadn't come along, she'd have died.
Well, we come along.
What does she mean to us, Jace? We never seen her before. She's a stranger.
Told you I ain't a woman killer.
But I say we can't take her. If we get slowed up now...
You so worried about them guards? Ride on. I'll follow quick as I can.
You better make sure she's still alive.
She's alive.
Found her at a stage wreck, about 5 miles down the gulch.
Friend?
Never seen her before.
I thought you and Fleet were getting cattle.
We got him. 4 cows and 2 calves. We left them at Snake Canyon till we can change the brands.
Snake Canyon. Couldn't drive them no further. A couple of herd guards spotted us. And you took time to drag her? That don't make sense.
Tell Fleet that.
That bruise ain't so bad. I think she's coming around.
Maybe she's hurt inside.
Oh, I don't think so. She, looks kind of like Hessie, don't she?
Not to me.
Well, I don't mean her skin, color of her hair, nothing like that, but the way her face is. Don't you see it? Kind of strong-like, but soft, too, and gentle. Hessie's face was like that.
Well, she ain't Hessie. From what's left of her clothes, she's a high-flown lady. Probably kin to the same kind of men what killed Hessie.
Maybe. But we still couldn't leave her to die.
What happens if she lives? She'll be able to tell all about this place, what it looks like, maybe even where it's hid. Now, what are we going to do whether we can't let her go?
Maybe she won't want to go.
You're a fool, Jace. A fool.
No. Easy. Easy now. Easy. Easy. You're all right now. You're all right.
All right.
Yes, you're safe. I'm going to take care of you, understand? Jason will take good care of you.
Jason, take it.
Food's ready, Jace.
What? Oh, I'll be right there. Hey, old Larry. Remember this? Give it to Hessie on our 10th wedding anniversary. Sent clear to New York for it.
I remember.
She was in the corral when I brought it home, working the stallion. Didn't even wait to change clothes, put it right on. She sure was a picture. Prancing around in boots and a velvet bonnet.
I thought she was going to get rid of all them things.
Ain't had time yet. Here's a present that Hessie gave to me first year we was married. It's a poem by that O'Reilly fella she liked so much. She copied it out of a book. Sort of told how she felt better than she could. It says, The red rose whispers of passion. The white rose breathes of love. The red rose is a falcon. The white rose is a dove. Of course, I can't read it like she could. Sounded like music then.
Looking back all the time is no good, Jace. It just makes things worse.
Just looking back. Just trying to find something for her. She's gonna need clothes, you know. Hers is pretty tore up. Anyhow, what's so good about looking ahead?
Maybe it ain't so good, Jace. But it's alive. And that ain't. Not no more. Not for over 3 years.
Fleet is mooning over that trunk again. Him and Hesse was mighty close.
Too close, maybe.
What do you mean?
Take today. Them herd guards. Before he started mooning around, Jason never got spotted. The law didn't even know what he looked like. Now they got posters out on all of us. Well, there was always posters on you, Charlie. From here to Missouri. That high-tone woman's another thing. Her kin will have a reward on her for sure. The law will be looking for her as well as us. Now, that's my lookout. They find us, yours ain't the only neck that gets stretched. They've been nosing this gulch ever since I started rustling. They ain't found nothing yet. High-toned woman's got a way of sharpening a man's eyesight. I'll judge that, too.
Jason! Jason!
Here!
Jason!
Here!
I'm
here.
Oh, you are real. Oh, I thought I was dreaming.
Oh, I'm real, all right. You're safe, just like I said.
Oh, it doesn't seem... Oh! Oh!
Head hurt? Now, you just lay still. Oh, you got a pretty bad knock. You just drink this. It'll make you feel better.
No.
Come on, headache syrup.
How long have I been lying here?
Oh, Leary and me found you this morning on the ground near the stage. You was thrown out when it crashed.
Was there anybody else?
Didn't see nobody.
Oh.
What is it?
Well, ever since I woke up, before I called you, I've been trying to remember what happened before the accident. And I can't. All I remember is falling. Not where I came from or where I was going, but just falling.
You mean you can't remember nothing? Nothing at all?
Nothing. Not even my name.
Your name's Hesper. Hesper Fleet.
Hesper.
You're my wife.
There's no doubt about it. These are her things, all right.
I made this for her myself.
Fred, I don't understand it. They found the driver's body. How could she just disappear?
She could have walked away, gone for help, and gotten lost. That mountain country around Volcano can be pretty tricky if you're not familiar with it.
Weren't there any tracks?
It was a cloudburst. Right after the accident, everything could have been washed away. I'm sorry.
I just can't believe that she's dead.
Neither do I. We can reach Volcano in a couple of days. Let's go.
You take care of things here till Nick gets back from El Paso.
Wait a minute. You can't get through to Volcano.
What do you mean?
Nobody's going up there. The storm broke out a dam 2 miles south of town. You'd have to swim, and even then the Army'd stop you.
What do you expect us to do, Fred? Just sit here and wait?
Use your head, Jared. Now, look, I know how you feel, but nobody can do anything until that water goes down.
Come in. Good morning, Jason.
Morning. Ah, you're looking mighty fine. How's it feel being up?
Wonderful. I'm as good at... Ooh.
Hey, easy.
Well, almost as good as new.
Maybe you better go back to bed for a while.
Oh, no, please. I know it's only been a few days, but I feel as though I've been there forever. Please, I couldn't stand it another minute.
Let me help. They feel comfortable?
Mm-hmm.
You always favored boots over slippers.
I wouldn't even have known they were mine. Hesper.
Hesper Fleet.
Hesper Fleet. It's like looking at a shadow.
It'll come back to you in time. Everything.
Is this mine, too?
Carved it for you myself. Here. Smell it.
Pine bristles.
Go ahead. Use it. It shines so. He always said there was nothing like pine bristles for polishing a woman's hair.
Did I? Oh, I wish I could remember. It's all so strange.
Sure, it's strange. You had a bad shock. Now I'll tell you about everything, a little at a time, until you remember all of it. And until you do remember, and I ain't a stranger no more, this room's yours, understand? Just yours. I wouldn't advise squeezing that trigger.
Just thinking.
How about you?
I'm thinking you're a fool trying to make her believe she's Hessie.
She already does believe it.
Maybe. But it ain't stopped her puzzling.
Ain't gonna stop her from asking questions neither. What are you gonna tell her when she asks us what we do for a living?
The truth. Figure it'll save a lot of trouble in the long run. That way she'll understand why she can't ride out much or go to town. Won't have to watch her all the time, like she's a prisoner.
Maybe she won't take to being a rustler's wife.
Or if she's concerned, it ain't a question of taking. She already is. Supper.
Maybe he's right. Maybe it will save trouble. As long as he don't start thinking she's Hessie.
Still wondering, Hessie?
I'm always wondering. Jason, maybe if I went back there to the wreck and looked at it, would you take me there?
Take you? Well, sure, a few weeks.
No, now, today.
Long way. Hard riding.
Well, I don't care about that. Don't you understand? I've got to stop wondering. I've just got to. Otherwise, we'll always be strangers.
All right, I'll take you. Mean anything to you?
No. Why was I on the stagecoach, Jason?
Well, you was coming back from Amador City.
Amador City?
Yeah, supposed to be a real good lawyer there. You went to see him about trying to get our ranch back. Hey, a few years back, you and me and O'Leary owned all this land. Had the biggest spread hereabouts. Well, the gold hunters come and took it away from us.
I don't understand.
Squatting all over the place, digging, killing the stock, fouling the water.
But the law, surely the
This
law...
land is part of an old Spanish grant. The law wouldn't recognize our rights to it. So at first, O'Leary and me fought back, gun to gun. But there was too many of them, and they burned us out. All except that old place we're living in now. Couldn't find that.
And so we lost everything. And I can't even help share the memory.
You're here. That helps.
We might as well go. Nothing even looks familiar. Oh, Chase, wait. Jason, was this mine? Was I wearing it?
Well, not as I knowed.
Oh. But didn't you... I thought you said nobody else was on the stagecoach.
There wasn't. At least not that we saw. Why? Them pictures look familiar to you?
No, never seen them before.
Give it up, Fleet.
Quick, get behind the coach.
Jason. Wait.
Put away your gun, Fleet. You haven't got a chance.
It's gonna be all right, Jason.
Yeah, them herd guards usually can't shoot straight enough to do no real damage.
Herd guards?
Or deputies. Can't tell from here. Could be either one.
What do they want? Why are they shooting?
Burning us out didn't change nothing, Hesse. O'Leary and me figure this land is still ours. And everything on it, including the cattle. So, we've been taking them back, a few at a time. Well, we change the brands and sell them out of stake, that's all.
But that's rustling.
Can't steal what's already yours, Hesse. Well, I knew it'd come as a shock. You never did like it much. Can't hold them off much longer. Gonna have to make a run for the horses.
But you can't, not with your leg.
There's no other way. Now, whatever happens, you stay here under cover.
No, I'm going with you. You'll need help.
What you risking yourself, Hesse? It's me they're after. Being a man's wife ain't no crime.
Do you think you can mount?
Sure.
All right. Don't you start till I draw their fire.
Hesse!
I thought you were resting.
No need. Ever since you put that salve on, leg's feeling much better. I'm sorry you had to go against the law to save me, Hesse. I know you didn't like it much.
I couldn't let them kill you, Jason.
Oh, I made you a little present. Kind of cheer you up a little bit. Carved it to match the brush.
Oh, that's the loveliest comb I've ever seen. Thank you.
I know it's hard to see the truth from just being told the past, Hesse. Now, believing in somebody's like, well, it's like carving. Comes a little at a time. I'm just asking you not to judge me too harsh while you're deciding, that's all.
Is cattle rustling the only way? Isn't there some other...
No, not for now, Hesse. Believe me that much. Looks like they've been riding pretty hard. You mind fixing some coffee? Expected you back a couple of hours ago. What happened?
We was lucky to get back at all. Them cattle guards set the sheriff from Volcano on your trail. Him and the deputies are crawling all over the gulch.
They find this place, we'll have her to thank.
How do you figure that?
It was on account of her that you went back to that wreck. Charlie's right. She's nothing but trouble, Jace. We got to get rid of her.
Get rid of her? What do you mean?
But we don't have to hurt her none. Just blindfold her. Then set the horse loose someplace where they'll be sure to find her.
We turn her loose, she's liable to bring him back here. Better they find her body like they should have in the first place.
You touch her, I'll drill you right between the eyes.
Well, it's plain somebody's got to die.
I don't care who Hesse was or what they called her. She's one of us now. She proved it by saving my life. And she's gonna stay one of us.
Cold water. I thought you might like some.
Thanks.
Sewer drippings?
Keeps the leather from cracking.
Well, you'll be needing more. I'll start saving it for you.
Now, don't trouble. I run out, I'll get my own.
Have you always disliked me so much?
What?
Well, Jason says we've been friends for years, but that's not true, is it?
Sure it is.
No, you're Jason's friend, not mine. Why?
I don't know what you're talking about.
Well, you always seem to avoid me whenever I'm around. You never speak directly to me, not really, not even to say, pass the coffee.
Well, I don't mean no harm. I just ain't talky, that's all.
Was I different before the accident? Is that it?
Different? What do you mean?
Oh, I suppose I look the same, but people are feelings and memories. How did I feel about things? Was I happy? Was I sad?
Well, ask Jace. He recollects better than me.
No, better perhaps, but that's not the same thing. Don't you see, O'Leary? I've got to remember. Otherwise, I'll never find myself again.
Well, you was gay, mostly. Laughingest woman I ever seen. Rain or shine, you always saw things bright, or made a chuckle out of them.
Well, then we must have had some good times together.
Oh, we had some fine times. Especially before we lost the ranch. Some real fine times. You know, you was not only the best cook around, but you could shoot. And sit a horse better than any man, including Jace and me. You know, once you even beat us in a greased pig contest. Now, Jace and me, we couldn't catch a pig, let alone hold on to it. And you didn't do no catching. Oh, no. You just plopped yourself on the ground and stuck a carrot in your ear. And when that old pig come up to sniff it, you grabbed him. I tell you, Hessie was a woman, all right. And she died. Oh, I don't mean anything by there. It's just, well, the accident did change you some.
I promise you one thing, O'Leary. If I never remember anything, I'll try to be Hessie again. In every way.
Wheaton's gang, all right. Spread out.
Hessie, bring the iron. Go ahead.
All right, Hessie, go ahead.
Come on, come on.
Thought we had fleet this time. Was that the woman you saw him with?
Yeah. You recognize her, Sheriff?
No. But I will if I see her again. Come on. Let's
get out of here.
I'm as hungry as a she-wolf with 6 pups. I didn't expect to spend the night under a tree.
No, we ain't heading back till I'm sure we wasn't followed. So quit belly aching. Keep your eyes open. I'll take over at midnight.
I'll be finished with this in a minute.
Darn a shirt and brand a steer in the same day. I'd say I'm a pretty lucky man.
Jason, I've been thinking about that brand on the cattle today. It seems so familiar.
Well, that's no surprise. We get cattle from all over. Might have been quite a few carrying that brand.
But I've been remembering other things, too. A big house with white pillars. Now, do we know anybody who lives in a place like that?
Nobody. You're just imagining things, Hessie.
Well, I guess I am. But it seems so real. It seems... Oh.
Headache again?
It's been coming and going most of the afternoon. Yeah. It's all right now.
No wonder you got a headache. You're working yourself to death. Now, come on. You've got to get some rest. Good night, Hessie.
Good night, Jason.
Now, we'll backtrack to the bottom of the gulch. Make sure our trail's covered before we head to the cabin.
Right.
It ain't likely anybody will pass this way. Well, I'll feel a lot easier if you have this.
I feel so much better. I wish you'd let me go with you.
Oh, it's going to be hard riding. You're better off here, resting. We'll be back in a couple of hours.
Oh, my God. Oh, my God.
just a minute. I didn't think you'd have the nerve to come waltzing into town in broad daylight.
I don't know what you're talking about. I just came to town to send a telegram.
You just come along with me. You're going to answer a few questions.
What questions?
About your friend, Jason Fleet.
Jason Fleet? I don't know anybody by that name. You've made a mistake.
You made the mistake thinking you wouldn't be recognized. You're under arrest for cattle rustling.
She's been caught. She didn't even have a chance to use the rifle.
Ain't no sign of struggle.
Well, they probably sneaked up on her just like they did us yesterday.
Then how do you account for just one set of traps leaving here?
I'm telling you, Hesse wouldn't leave like that. The law's got her, and I'm telling you something else for the last time.
Jace. Hesse was beat to death because she wouldn't say where you was hiding. Now, calling another woman her name ain't going to change that. You got to face it. You got to, Jace.
Where you going?
I'm going after her.
Well, them traps will take you right to Volcano Road. You want to meet up with the sheriff?
Yep, he's got Hesse. I rode with you a long time, Jace. As long as it made sense everywhere. But this don't make sense. Now, you do what you want to. We're going back to the cabin.
It's your choice. I lost Hesse once. I ain't gonna lose her again.
Sheriff, I don't know how many times I have to tell you I am Victoria Barkley. I was in a stagecoach wreck.
Of course. And where you been since? The last 3 weeks.
All I remember is the stage starting to fall. Nothing until I found myself in the mesquite grove today with a locket my son Jared gave me for Christmas. Now, Sheriff, you have got to believe me.
I'd like to. But I'd deserve to be locked up right alongside of you if I went for that story.
It's no story.
I saw you branding stolen cattle with Fleet yesterday as clear as I see you now. I've got 2 witnesses to back me up.
But if I did do that, why would I ride into town today?
We've been making things pretty hot for Fleet lately. I figure he's hard up for supplies. He sent you after him because he figured a woman would draw less attention.
Sheriff, I've never been in Volcano before in my whole life.
Look here. I don't know what Fleet means to you, but he's cost the ranchers around here a lot of money. They're mad enough to break in here and string you up, woman or not. So for your own sake, you better tell me where that hideout is.
I wish I could, Sheriff. I wish I could. Because I have a feeling. I have a feeling that something very important happened to me during those weeks.
Hesse! Over at the window.
What is it? Who do you want?
I figured the sheriff had you. Come on out as quick as you can. I got horses in the alley.
He called me Hesse.
What is it, ma'am?
I don't know. But I think I'm beginning to remember things.
The hideout?
Maybe.
Where?
I think I can take you there.
We'll ride out at daylight.
I think it's around there.
You sure?
Yes. I remember that gully.
How much further?
I don't know. All I remember is the house. Let's go.
I told you she'd bring the law on us. She can't help it. They forced her. I tell you, she was jailed. I talked to her myself.
Well, she ain't jailed now. She ain't even handcuffed.
Well, they still got quite a ways to come. Maybe they'll turn back.
They're coming in range.
Lizzie! Go back! It's Fleet!
Lizzie! No, don't! I didn't want it to happen this way. But I couldn't remember. I couldn't remember until I saw you.
You did right. Had to happen this way. Couldn't have done nothing else. I'm glad you was Hesse. It was just for a little.
So am I, Jason.
I saw your light on, so I came to say goodnight. It's wonderful to have you home.
It's wonderful to be home.
What a lovely brush. Is that hand-carved?
Mm-hmm. Pine bristles. And they say there's nothing like them to make your hair shine.
What are you thinking?
You know, it's difficult to believe there's a stranger inside you. That under other circumstances you might have lived, well, a different kind of life.